All right, let's pull back the curtain on something called information security. It's kind of like this invisible shield that protects pretty much everything in your digital life, from your bank account to, I don't know, your secret family recipes. In the next few minutes, we're going to figure out how that shield is built and, more importantly, where it can crack.
So let me ask you something right off the bat. Just think for a second about your emails, your passwords, all those photos you've got saved up in the cloud. Do you feel like they're truly safe? That little feeling of uncertainty? That's exactly why we need to talk about this.
Okay, part one, our information is at risk. And really, the simple truth is, our information is under constant threat. So before we can even talk about building walls and defenses, we have to understand what we're actually up against.
You know, when we say the word information, it's so easy for our minds to just jump to emails or files on a computer. But the reality is, the scope is so much bigger. We're talking about the printed contracts sitting on your desk, that sticky note with a password you wrote down, even the design sketches for a brand new product. Look, if it has value, you can bet it's a target.
So, if threats are coming from all sides, what do? How do we defend ourselves? Well, we build a shield. And in the world of security, this shield is this powerful framework designed to protect our most valuable stuff.
At its heart, what we call InfoSec is really the art of control. Think of it like this. You're the bouncer for your own data. You get to decide who gets in, what they're allowed to do once they're inside, and you make absolutely sure no one can mess with the place. It's all about keeping order in what can be a really chaotic digital world.
And every strong defense, every single one, is built on 3 core principles. It's known as the CIA triad. First, you've got confidentiality. That's the promise that your secrets stay secret, like a sealed envelope. Then there's integrity. That's the guarantee that the message inside that envelope hasn't been messed with. And finally, availability, which just means you can actually open that envelope whenever you need to. If even one of these pillars crumbles, the whole thing can come crashing down.
Okay, so we've got our shield, and it's built on those 3 pillars. But here's the thing, no shield is perfect. So now we're going to take a look at the cracks, those common weaknesses that attackers are always looking for.
When you really boil it down, attacks almost always exploit one of 2 things, a flaw in the code or a flaw in our human nature. A technical weakness is some bug in the system, right? Something a hacker can exploit. But a human weakness, well, that's about exploiting our trust, our curiosity, or maybe just our desire to be helpful. And you know what? That is often a much easier door to kick open.
We all kind of have this image in our heads of hackers using these hyper-advanced tools to smash through digital fortresses. But the reality is often way simpler. The most common way in isn't some high-tech battering ram. It's an unlocked window because of unpatched software. Or it's the front gate key left right under the doormat because someone used a password like password123.
But here's the scary part. All the technical defenses in the world can be completely bypassed with a single, clever email. A really well-crafted phishing attempt doesn't attack the system, it attacks the person using the system. And when it works, it makes millions of dollars of security tech totally irrelevant. We are the firewall, and a lot of the time, we are the most vulnerable part.
And hey, let's not forget, not all breaches happen through a screen. A lost laptop or a USB drive that someone just accidentally drops in the parking lot can be just as damaging as a remote hack. Even something as simple as holding the door for someone, letting them tailgate into a secure area, can undo all your digital defenses. The physical world is still a huge part of the battlefield.
Now, these aren't just theoretical risks. When these defenses fail in the real world, the fallout is absolutely massive. So let's take a look at what happens when the shield breaks, using some of the biggest breaches in history as our guide.
147 million. Just take a moment to let that number sink in. That is how many people had their sensitive, personal, and financial information stolen in a single data breach.
So where'd that number come from? That was the 2017 Equifax breach. And the cause wasn't some crazy nation-state superweapon. It was a known vulnerability in their software that they simply forgot to patch. A failure of the most basic security housekeeping, and it led to a global catastrophe for millions of people. Then you have the Capital One breach. This time it wasn't an old, unpatched system. It was a brand new cloud server that was just set up incorrectly. It's a huge reminder that as our technology gets more and more complex, the cost of one simple mistake gets even higher.
And the Sony hack of 2014, man, that was a chilling example of a total internal collapse. The attackers got in and they found basically no internal walls to stop them. They just roamed freely, taking everything: private emails, employee records,
even entire unreleased movies. It showed the world what happens when your security is just a hard outer shell with a soft, chewy center.
I know. Looking at these breaches can be pretty daunting, but they provide us with critical lessons. They give us a roadmap. So, how do we use these lessons to actually build stronger, more resilient defenses?
The real solution isn't one single thing. It's all about building layers of defense. You start with the technical stuff, like encrypting your data and using multi-factor authentication. Then you add the human layer, training people to spot threats. And you wrap all of that in an organizational layer, with clear policies and a solid plan for what to do when, not if, a breach happens. Each layer supports the others.
And really, this final thought says it all. Information security isn't just some IT issue, it is the absolute foundation of our entire digital lives. And if that foundation fails, everything we've built on top of it, our businesses, our privacy, our trust in each other, all of it can come crashing down. So the question I'll leave you with is this: how strong is your foundation?